Good morning. I would like to welcome you all to the LSA Co-op Advertising 101 presentation this morning. Very excited to offer this to you, and just a couple things. First of all, we are recording this session, so it will be available if you'd like to show it to other members of your team at some other point. And also, if you have questions, on your screen you should see an area where you can type in a question. We will get to all questions at the end because it just is really hard for me to be able to go back and forth between questions and the actual presentation. So just be aware of those things. My name is Phil Harris, by the way, and I look forward to working with all of you at some point, or some of you that I may have already worked with. As I said, we're going to do Co-op 101 today. One of the things that I like to discuss, what is co-op advertising? Quite simply, it's an agreement between a manufacturer and a retailer to share advertising costs while creating brand name awareness with local consumers. I like to simplify it. It means that if you have a retailer and they carry a brand name product, there's a good chance they can get money from that manufacturer to help them advertise that product in their local media. When I say local media, I mean newspaper, radio, cable, TV, outdoor, digital. Sometimes it can be social media under digital. It can be creating websites. Any type of media, whether it be the restaurant placemat with different retailers listed on a restaurant placemat, a lot of times things like that obviously need to get prior approval. But when I say media, it's pretty much all-encompassing. Just a couple sample ads here. We've got one for a shoe store, one for a spa, and then an outdoor advertising. So again, you know, everything's in play with co-op when it comes to different types of media and hopefully different types of products. It's estimated now in the United States there's about $70 billion in available co-op. Roughly half of that is left on the table each year. So we're figuring between $30 and $35 billion is what is unused, which is just an incredible amount of money. And you need to get your share of that for your local advertisers. And that's why co-op matters. That's why it's so important to incorporate co-op into your regular sales calls. Co-op dollars are cross-media. Most of the time when you get a co-op balance, they don't say, okay, this much is for newspaper, this much is for radio, this much is for digital. It's a co-op balance. Now, there are some manufacturers that may limit, but most manufacturers nowadays are pretty open to any type of media. And advertisers that use co-op outspend their peers. They outspend their competition just because, you know, they have more money to spend on advertising and hopefully using the same that they were using out of their pocket and then adding co-op to it. Why should co-op matter to you? It's a big pot of available marketing dollars to tap. You can obviously increase your client ad spend, which means you make more money. Your retailer captures a greater share, and you can win new business with using co-op. As a media, you're trying to sell more advertising. If you can walk in, sell your product, but also sell them on the idea that, hey, we can help you pay for your advertising, you win new media, win new advertising, Also, for your retailer, they win new business because they're going to bring more people into their store. Value-added service that you can offer your customer. When you have a co-op department or a co-op initiative within your media, you're adding a value-added service to all of your customers, all of your advertisers and clients. More leads for the same amount of money or less money, hopefully for the same, because they're going to spend the same amount of money out of their pocket, add co-op dollars to increase their advertising. And co-op drives retention and reduces churn, and that's, again, on both levels. For you, if you're helping your advertiser pay for their schedule, you're driving retention of your customer. You get a loyal customer, and it reduces them leaving you. But it also does the same thing for the actual advertiser. It drives retention because it keeps it greater mind awareness. Their store, where maybe 4 other people in the market sell the same product, their store stays top of mind awareness because they're in the media all the time using co-op to increase their advertising. Finally, some basics of co-op or why it's so important to offer this assistance. Most retailers know that there's co-op out there. We figure about 40 to 50% don't use it, based on 40 to 50% of the dollars going unused, maybe even more. It's not because they don't want free money. It's because all the programs can be complex and they're all different. So if I'm an advertiser, let's say that I own a shoe store or I own a Yamaha ATV dealership. I'm busy opening my store in the morning, taking care of my book work, taking care of ordering product, taking care of closing the store at night, etc., etc. I just don't have time, and I don't have time to learn how to take advantage of it. So by you offering this service and us simplifying it for you, you really make it easier for the customer. It's available for digital and all other media. There's all kinds of promotional opportunities available with co-op. And as I said, the process can be confusing for your local store. They don't do advertising. That's our job. We can assist you with the pre-approval and proof of delivery for the ads, and you can help them with their reimbursement and their claiming. This is our recast main page, and we try to update this every few years just to keep it fresh and get the latest technology. So there may be a little bit of a face change to this in the near future, but it'll still have all the same great information, and we try to always make it as easy as possible. Pretty much everywhere you want to go on our site, you can reach from right here at the top of the page, or right here with a quick search. I'm just going to type in a manufacturer name, and I typed in Kawasaki. You can see it's an intuitive search, so it'll finish the word for you, which is good for me because I am a terrible speller sometimes. And it'll bring up all the different manufacturers that are under that. And I can go to another one. And I want to do Yamaha because look at all the different Yamaha plans that you have to choose from. So I like to show a couple different searches here real quick. And it gives me all these different choices, okay? So we're going to go to motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, and snowmobiles because that kind of cuts across most markets. Obviously, in southern Texas, you're not going to have snowmobiles, but you may have ATVs and scooters. So click on the link. So it brings up my co-op program, and you're going to see here that we have all kinds of links. So we're going to kind of go through, and what I use this for is I'm just going to go through the different terms that we want to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to co-op, and then we'll come back and kind of touch base on these links. First thing, we're always going to provide you with a manufacturer address and a manufacturer contact. Obviously very important. You know who to call. We supply you with ads and scripts and promotions, but sometimes we may not get everything. Like in this case, we don't have a script. So if you need a radio script, you could very easily call Lori. If we didn't have a web ad, but we had a script, you can call Lori or Kathy and ask for that. Or we can assist you sometimes. If you're our customer, we will assist you. But having the manufacturer contact information is important in any co-op endeavor, so you know who to contact. Sometimes they'll have a different co-op administrator than who actually handles the marketing and co-op contact, but it looks like this is the same group. So pretty easy to do. We try to give you the email addresses also. Great for co-op claiming, great for asking questions online. We will do co-op research for you if you go out and talk to your customer and get some information, but sometimes you can just email directly to the manufacturer and find out what their co-op balance is. Also for co-op ad approvals, it's always important to get every ad approved before you run it. I know we get ads directly from the manufacturer. You may get directly from the manufacturer, but once you tag it, if you've done something like rearrange the ad or made the logo too big, you always just want to email it over. I actually have scripts that I supply to all of our new customers to say, hey, this is Phil with ABC Media. We're getting ready to run this ad for Joe's Motorsports, and Joe would really like to run this ad as soon as possible. Just want to make sure it's acceptable for co-op reimbursement. But I do all these, so I email them over to any new customers that we get, and you can have these already ready-made for your sales reps, so you make it really simple to get ad approval at all times. I usually email it over, and I've worked with different media and helped them out. If I don't hear back within a couple hours, I call. Hi, Lori. This is Phil Harris. Just trying to make sure that ad was approved. He really wants to run it as soon as possible. And again, it can be video. It can be a script. It can be, with a script, you'd have a ready-made radio commercial, print ad, digital, whatever it is. It all works the same. We'll give you the claiming information, how soon the claim has to be in, the source of reimbursement that the manufacturer offers. Nowadays, you'll see two different types of reimbursement. It'll either be a credit memo or it'll be a check. Most manufacturers use a credit memo nowadays. It's the same as getting money. If they spend $100,000 and they've got their bill, the manufacturer's just going to give them a credit on that bill. If they use $5,000 in co-op, they're going to get a $5,000 credit. So they only owe $95,000 instead of $100,000. Works the same way as getting a check, but it's just easier than having to send money back and forth. The next area is a trade promotion structure, and of course I chose a manufacturer not thinking without an accrual comment, so I am going to go up here real quick and just choose a different manufacturer just for demonstration purposes, and I am going to put in here Mohawk, and I'm pretty sure they do a 2% accrual, so it'll make it easier for me. So I've got Mohawk, and they have a 2% accrual. And I want to just real quickly give you some definitions. These are all on our website, so you can always find, what the meaning is. But accrual percent is a percentage applied to the net purchases that the dealer makes for the manufacturer to earn their co-op dollars. So if I have a dealer that spent $200,000 with Kawasaki or with Mohawk or whoever, they would have 2% of that, or $4,000 back in their co-op balance. Now, the manufacturer doesn't just hand them the $4,000. What they tell them is, we'll reimburse each ad you run featuring our products at 50%, 75%, or 100%. That's what the participation percent is. So if it's a 50% participation, they have $4,000 in their co-op balance, you're going to offer them an $8,000 proposal, and you may stretch that out. Smaller media may stretch that out over a whole year. Larger media, that may cover a quarter. It just depends on where you're at and how much your dealer has. So if it's 100% participation and you've got $4,000, you could present them a $4,000 schedule that would be 100% paid. Now, I always suggest you still present them with an $8,000 schedule and pay half of it, even if it's 100% participation, because you want to not only get as much advertising opportunity for them, but that increases their exposure so they sell more. But again, putting together that proposal the first time, if it's a new client, then you're going to look at how much money you found, what you think is a good advertising schedule for, and incorporate those co-op dollars into that proposal. If it's a current advertiser, I always tell people, look at what they spend now. We're just going to use big round numbers. For some of you, $1,000 a month would be very little in advertising for your media, and for some of you, $1,000 a month might be way more than what anybody would spend. I just use it as a round number. Again, you're going to put it into perspective in your media and in the area of the country that you are. So if we have a dealer that spends $1,000 a month and we find him $6,000 in advertising in co-op dollars, and it can be from different manufacturers, what I would do is I'd say, okay, if I take that $6,000 and I spread it out over an entire year, that gives me $500 I can add to their to their advertising every month. So I'm going to take a $1,000 client and up them to a $1,500 a month spend, but none of it's coming out of their pocket extra. It's all going to be co-op. So that's how you want to propose those dollars when you find them. Fit it into a schedule for a current advertiser, or put together a schedule for a new advertiser. All right, let me keep going. Accrual period. That's when they earn the money. In this case, this is a great example for me to show you because they're never the same. I'm going to go back here to the previous screen. And You can see Yamaha has an accrual period from June to May. What a great one to show, too, because I want to show you they're not all calendar year. So these are two really good examples to use for showing the accrual period. Each manufacturer is different. Yes, most are January to December, the majority, but there are a lot of them out there that offer co-op based on seasonal periods, or in the case of the Mohawk, it's a rolling period. So what they do is they say every 12 months, the past 12 months, you have co-op based on your purchases. Excuse me. So when a new month goes by, they throw off the 13th month of dollars that you may have earned that month. So that's why you're always going to use the oldest co-op dollars first, and they know that with this type of plan. Okay? And then the performance period is when you spend it. It's the same 12-month rolling with a rolling plan. With going back to the Yamaha plan, their accrual period and their performance period starts in July, so they give you a full month to earn dollars for the next year starting in July 1st through June 30th. It's a really neat program the way it's set up because they want it to be seasonal. They know most of their advertising is going to come in the spring. Now, granted, you can buy recreational vehicles in South Florida, South Texas, or in Florida, Texas, and California and other states year-round. But they know they also have dealers in New York, Chicago, and northern states, and they know that you're not going to sell as many ATVs or recreational vehicles maybe in the middle of winter. So that's why they do it this way. Just depends on the manufacturer, but the money's there, and that's how the accrual and performance period go. We always give manufacturers plan comments. These are right from the manufacturer co-op plan. Everything we have on here is from the manufacturer co-op plan. They're going to have some comments that clarify any of this information that may not have been understandable. So we always tell people, if you have access to a co-op plan, or if you have our service or whatever co-op service you have, always look to see if there's any plan comments available, and to make sure that it's just a safety net to make sure you reach all of the things you need. And then we break it down by media. So, here's the print media specs. The claim requirements are going to be the biggest thing. If you're using the ads that the manufacturer has available, you're in really good shape. But you always want to make sure you do what the claim requirements say. Now, this is not all for one type of claim. They want a full-page tear sheet and the invoice. But if you're going to use magazines, or if it's mailed, or et cetera, then they want to do these other things. So it's not as bad as it looks. The claim is not as hard as all of this. It's just each different type of print would have a different claim. And then we can go down to digital, and we break it down, like I said, by banner advertising, search engine marketing, social media, etc. So all different kinds of media are available for co-op. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up to the top. One of the things that most manufacturers are going to have on their website is a dealer locator. We just like to be able to link to that so that you don't have to look. So if we all know where our Yamaha dealers are in our market, they're big, and we probably have heard of them because there's probably not 7 or 8 in one market. But this is great for a lot of smaller stuff too, where you may not know how many dealers carry it. For example, I'll go back to Mohawk. You may not know where all your Mohawk dealers are because some carpet places may have Karastan, or they may have different Shaw. They might not all carry the exact same. Now, Mohawk's a pretty big name, so most of them are going to do it. But this just takes you out to the manufacturer's website, put in your zip code, and it tells you where your local dealers are in your market. So kind of handy. You're going to look at, remember, most of the time, your majors and nationals are going to handle co-op. If they're like a Walmart or a Lowe's or Menards, they're handling their co-op themselves. You're looking for the Sutton Carpet Centers, the Vonder Hides. These I know because this is my market. Ron's Carpet, these are all locally owned. So those are the ones you're going to want to work with. Okay? So that's the dealer locator. Ad planner is the actual ad planner, and that's what we get. Most of the spec information that we offer comes from that, but you can always contact that manufacturer if you need something else. We've got print ads, digital ads, scripts, Usually we'll have logos and product art for outdoor, and sometimes you can use some of the digital ads can be converted to an outdoor advertising. Definitely if it's a digital screen in different places. We also tell you what promotions the manufacturer running. So Mohawk has two promotions going on, one major promotion, Home for the Holidays, expires at the end of November. So this is one you'd want to get on right away. Then we give you the different ads again. These are manufacturer ads that you want to get prior approved after you tag them. Okay? Digital ads, scripts, everything that's available. That's kind of the co-op plan in a nutshell, with all the different terms that we try to make available to you. If you have questions, type them in. I'll get to them at the end. But now I want to kind of talk about the co-op process and how it works. So I'm going to bring up a different screen. And this is just something I use and we've used, and this is a tried, true, out-of-the-box solution to co-op. It's an 8-step process that we feel is the best way to work with co-op. The first step, obviously, with any sales process, and we all know this, is you have to target. We're going to save targeting for the end of my presentation because it's the most fun part to show. So I always like to save it to the end. But the second step is setting up your advertiser call. You've got important information for the advertiser to hear, so you really want to make sure that you try to set up an appointment in advance. Now, we all have those advertisers. I sold newspaper and I sold radio before I came to work with Recast and Co-op for Recast. So I had clients that I could walk in, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and they would give me all the time that I needed. But we also have those clients that we know run the whole show, and they're so busy that you really need to try to set up a time when they're going to have somebody else there to run the store while you want to visit with them, okay? So it's not a bad idea. Set up this advertiser call. What I tell you is we provide you with a co-op brochure, and what I tell sales reps whenever I do training, also when I go out and do on-site training for different media, and I work with sales reps, I use these 5 steps to present co-op. And what I tell people and what I tell sales reps, when you call to make that initial appointment, let them know, hi, Bob, it's Phil at XYZ Media. I'm really excited to come in and talk with you today or tomorrow if you have some free time. We have partnered with a company to bring you to help you with using your co-op. This company has been doing this for over 35 years. They've built relationships with manufacturers all across the country, and it's going to be something that we can offer for free to you to assist you with taking advantage of your co-op. We can help you identify your brand opportunities. We'll actually do the accrual research for you. With any luck, we'll be able to add more advertising to your budget without spending more money out of your pocket. We can actually, increase your advertising buy and use co-op to pay for it. We have access to ad materials through this company called Recast, LSA Co-op Recast. We have ad materials available that we can make sure that we get your ads approved by the manufacturer to assure that you get your reimbursement. And finally, we can assist you with your claiming. I always tell people to say we're going to assist you with your claiming. Don't ever tell them you're going to do it for them. You may end up doing it for them because it's really, in some instances, it can be really easy. It depends on the industry and it depends on the manufacturer. But some of them, they just want the script, the actual aired, live script, and an invoice. You can email, again, I've got ready-made templates for emails that we offer, and it says, hey, just wanted to let you know, we ran these ads for Joe's Outdoor World, and he took advantage of co-op. I've included the invoice and the ads, and I've CC'd Joe. Please accept this for his co-op claim for October. So you may do them, but I always tell people you'll assist in case they have to do it themselves or they want to. Pretty simple, but okay. The next step when you're doing this co-op stuff is prepare your packet. Now you've set up your meeting, prepare your ad packet. And I just tell you, you want to probably include something, especially if it's a new client, something that is one of your media marketing collateral page, just so you can make sure you sell them on yourself first. Doesn't matter how much work you can do for them with co-op. If you don't sell them on your media, it won't help. So you want to sell them on your media. Then you want to maybe use that Yamaha spec ad, digital ad script, whatever it is, the promotion that they're running if they have a promotion going, and maybe even the co-op plan. You don't have to have every product line that they carry in your packet. You just need one reason to walk in the door. The best way I can use to describe co-op or our co-op services, when I was selling radio and when I was selling newspaper years ago, both my general sales manager and my ad director, the biggest thing they would preach to us is don't be an order taker. Have a reason to go see your customer. That's what co-op is. That's what these spec ads are. They're reasons to walk in the door. So you put all this inside that co-op brochure I showed you, and I'll go over it a little bit, and you're ready to go out and talk to your advertiser. So now I'm going to skip back to the brochure for a minute. This is just an 11 by 17 two-sided color copy that we can create for you. You fold it down the middle so it comes to an 8.5 by 11 4-page brochure. I literally, when I go out and do on-site training with customers, I go through this front page step by step. Even though you've already told them, it's like the old saying, when you're giving a presentation, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. It's an old saying, old cliche, but it works. So what I do is inside my brochure, I've got all that marketing collateral stuff and the Yamaha spec ad, etc. But the first thing I want to do is, hi, just wanted to come out, talk to you a little bit. I'm working with your local sales rep from the local media. I don't say it that way, but I use their name. And I just wanted to inform you, this is a free service. There is no cost to you. We've been working with manufacturers for over 35 years with co-op and building relationships with them, and we provide this service to local media that can provide it to their advertisers. We can identify all your sources of brand advertising opportunities. We will actually do the accrual research for you. So we need to get a little information today, but then we can find out what you have with each manufacturer. We can get the ad materials available, get them approved, and finally we can assist you with the claiming. Open up to the next page. And I don't necessarily go over all this, but the nice thing is I can tear this down the middle and I can leave the front page and the inside front page with the advertiser so he knows all the nice stuff I'm going to do for him. But then on this side, instead of seeing this authorization form or co-op request form, what I'm going to see is my marketing collateral page for my media. If I include it, I may not if they're an old customer. Then I have a spec ad and a promotion from Yamaha. Then I've got maybe a co-op program, etc. I explain to them, this is what's available. You have manufacturers in your store that reimburse anywhere from 50 to 100%. Let's go ahead and get this process started. The next thing I do, and I can't stress this enough, this top part, and I don't know why the lines didn't show up here, but they didn't. This top part, have it all filled out. The reason being, it's a psychological thing with your customer. They see it and they assume, wow, he's already started this process for me. So I have my advertiser's name, my name, address, etc. I may even have one of the manufacturers written in. Maybe I know they carry Yamaha, so I have Yamaha written in. But I tell them, I've shown you Yamaha, but not only can we work with Yamaha, we can work with all the different vendors that you work with. So you write in the name of the vendor, put in their customer number with that vendor, and if they buy through a manufacturer rep or a distributor, especially a distributor, we need to know who the distributor is, name, phone number, and a contact person if you can get it. The more information you get right here, you've got them excited about co-op at this point. They're excited about the whole process. So the more information you get right here, the easier the whole thing's going to be. Because sometimes there are some hiccups when you're calling manufacturers to get co-op balances. But if we have more information, we can delve deeper into the process. Finally, you're going to have them sign an authorization letter. Again, it'd have your media name here. We personalize this with your logo, the whole 9 yards. Have all the bottom part filled out. So all they have to do is sign it. All this does is it allows us to do the research for that advertiser. Some manufacturers will require it. Some even require it on the letterhead, the media letterhead or the dealer letterhead, but most of them will accept an authorization letter just like this, so you just need to get them to sign off. At that point, we're going to flip back to our 8-step process. You're going to supply that information. If we're your co-op provider, you're going to supply it to us, or if you have a co-op manager in at your store or at your media, or somebody to do those research. Or you may do the research just directly from the co-op plan itself, where you're going to call each manufacturer, find out what the dealer has available. Okay? Once you get those co-op balances for your dealer, you're ready to put together that proposal. And we kind of talked about that when we were talking about the participation percent. But you want to put together a proposal that uses all those co-op dollars and takes advantage of all of those co-op dollars. You may not get it all, because maybe it's too much. Maybe you have a dealer that spends $1,000 a month and they have $37,000 in co-op. Well, you may not be able to get them to go from $12,000 to $49,000 or $37,000 in advertising. But you put together a schedule you know is good for them. I'm going to tell you one little story. It's my only anecdote I'm going to share today. But I was working with a newspaper in Indiana, and they had a dealer that sold, and they sold like ATVs, motorcycles, snowmobiles, the whole 9 yards. And I was telling them about co-op, and one of the sales reps asked a question about, this guy won't do print. He likes to see his face and hear his voice, so he only does radio and TV because he doesn't like, he can't see his face. And I said, all right, let's go out and talk to him. So we went out and talked to him. We did the co-op research. They had $49,000 in co-op. A couple months go by. I called his sales rep. I said, hey, did you, he goes, well, I don't want to go out there and talk to him because he'll spend it in another media, not me. And I was like, okay, we still have to present it. Let's figure out a way to get him to use some of it. Even if he spends some in other media, if he spends some with you and he's not spending anything with you now, you're not losing anything. Same thing if he spends it all with somebody else, you're still not losing. The only way we can go here is up. So I was going to go back to Indiana. We put together 3 different proposals. The first one was to use the full $49,000 or $98,000 schedule, which I knew the guy was going to pass out when we presented it to him. But I wanted to shock him at first. Then we had 2 other proposals, one where we used half of it for his media, and finally the third one we used like 25% or like $12,500 for his media. It would have been a $25,000 buy because it was 50%. So we went out there, and sure as heck, he dropped, his chin dropped to the table when we tried to get him to spend $49,000 out of his pocket and $49,000 in co-op. But the more we talked, and the big kicker was, you got to think of ways to get a hook. I took spec ads out. We got his picture off his website because, of course, he loved to look at himself. We slapped his picture in the corner of the spec ad, and he loved it because he thought, oh, now I can figure out a way to have my face on my ads. So we ended up getting him to sign off on the $12,500 co-op buy, $25,000, but we weren't done there. We knew, you know what, we can control this whole co-op budget. We said, now you've still got $37,000 in co-op left. We'll be glad to help you with your radio, TV, and other sources of co-op if you want. We can help you with that advertising and help you place those co-op dollars. He loved it. And the nice thing was that media now had control of his entire advertising budget. And every year they would go in at the beginning of the year and they would allot, here's what we're going to give you for radio, here's what we're going to give you for TV, and they'd keep adding a little bit more for their media. Doesn't matter whether you are radio, TV, or newspaper. If you find a budget like that, you can control where they spend it all, so you can help your media and maybe help the other ones too because it was so much. That's the only anecdote I'll tell today because I know it was long and takes a lot of time. But the idea is they got a customer that became very loyal because not only did they help him advertise and increase his advertising in the newspaper, but they also helped him with his other media too. If you win, it's okay to help somebody else win as long as you get the big win. And it doesn't matter what media you're from. So you put together the proposal, go out, present it to the advertiser. At that point, once you present it to your advertiser, get them to sign off on it. You may have to increase their contract level, which will again increase their advertising because now you're lowering their rate, but they're going to get more advertising. So you're going to make a really loyal customer. Get the ads ready, get pre-approval. As I said, it's an email to get pre-approval usually, no matter what kind of ad it is. Save that pre-approval, get the email back in writing for the pre-approval. It's just a way to cover yourself. A lot of times at these manufacturers, that co-op person may leave, and it may be somebody different next month, and they may say, well, that ad's not approved. Well, you've got proof that it was approved for your dealer. So provide the claiming, and then you're ready for the next month to set up the schedule. So that's kind of how the process works. The brochure is a great tool to use just to present co-op. It just works, to present it from beginning to end. Here's what co-op is. Here's what we're going to do for you. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about targeting, and the first thing I want to go over is we, for our clients, send out daily e-leads. We send out 2 to 3 daily e-leads to all of our subscribers, their sales reps, everybody. So this is one we sent out. It's not the email version because I just put it on my browser, but it pretty much looks similar to this. May not have as much information, but you find the links right here for the dealer locator, the co-op plan. All the links are in the email. So we're literally hand delivering sales leads to your sales reps on a regular basis. Okay. So you click on this, it takes me right to the co-op program, and I'm ready to go. So that's one form of targeting. I want to go back to the main page. Ad materials. Anytime a manufacturer has new ad materials available, it's a way to target. So I'm going to show you just what new ad materials that we've gotten in. But if you can get new ad materials from a manufacturer, however you do it, these are just new ad materials we brought in last week. All these different manufacturers we got ad materials from. So there's that Polaris off-road. This is from the week before. Droll Yankee is like bird feeders. Co-op is everywhere, from vehicles to construction equipment to bird feeders. You can find co-op. The next area for doing research, I'll go back to that what's new. Anytime a manufacturer is running a promotion, it's a good time to talk to them about co-op. If you have a dealer that carries these products, it's a good time to talk to them about co-op because they're running some type of promotional event. Here's one for Suzuki. This is for New Holland, et cetera, John Deere, Mazda. There was one for these April Air in-home humidifiers and air cleaners the week before. There's just all kinds of manufacturers. They're always running promotions, and that gives you a good opportunity. Not only is it a good opportunity for the advertiser to advertise, it's a good reason for you to go out and talk to them. Doing a quick search is a great way to make sure that an industry is good for co-op. I always go in here and say I want the formal co-op, those 2%, 50% type plans. And then I just go in and say, okay, let's see who would be a good one to work with. So I go into the category. If I'm going out, let's say I'm going to a grocery store. And I always use this one to show, guess what? Not every industry has co-op. Grocery is the terrible industry. If for those of you that are familiar with grocery, the manufacturer does stuff a little bit different. The people that they buy, like Frito-Lay gives them a kickback based on if they'll put their product on an end cap or on the eye level shelf. So it's not anything that we can affect in co-op. But let's go back to that advanced search, and we will choose motorcycles, ATVs, and snowmobiles. It's a monster category. So it doesn't hurt to pre-qualify whether somebody's going to be good. You don't want to go into a grocery store and ask them about co-op and do a lot of work for nothing. The more work that you do when you target and do smart targeting, the easier this whole process becomes. Look at all of them. You've got Christmas coming up, you've got Valentine's Day, you've got Mother's Day. So, there's always Rolex. Rolex is a great one for fourth quarter. Well, year round, because there's always going to be Rolex co-op. For Valentine's Day, there's co-op for jewelry. It's not a bad idea just to pre-qualify where you're going. Hunting and fishing, we're right now in the middle of hunting seasons, all kinds of different hunting seasons coming up. so I do a quick search just to pre-qualify and see if it's a good opportunity. So great way to target with that. All right, finally, you can target by categories. I'm going to go into this co-op brand targeting. Just click on targets up here. I don't have to go down. You can click and target by month for seasonal products. We know that you're not going to walk into a place that sells snowmobiles and try to sell them co-op advertising in the middle of April or May. Now, they probably have ATVs and motorcycles and other stuff and watercraft that you can talk to them about, but we're not going to talk to them about snowmobiles. So, you want to target by what's going to be hot that time of year, pure and simple. You can also target by top manufacturers. We know that certain manufacturers offer more co-op than others. This was based on our research from first quarter of last year. So we found for Silhouette Optical, we made 10 calls. Each dealer averaged about $530. But look at this. For Toro Lawn and Garden during first quarter, 4 calls, each dealer had almost $5,000 in their co-op balance. Here's one for Kawasaki. The dealer had $16,000. That doesn't happen every day. But boy, what it does is it sure give your co-op and your advertising and your personal as a sales rep, it really helps with the bottom line of your commission. So those are the different types of targeting that are available. There's some more, but think big products, think seasonal, and think, what can I do to help my advertiser take advantage of this co-op, and at the same time do what's best for them. If you put your customer first, you're going to come out ahead. I want to thank everybody for sitting in on our LSA Co-op 101 webinar. We'll probably be offering more types of these in the near future, so be on the lookout. And I thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.